airspace. Now this is a huge claim being made that Iran has targeted the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier.
I stand before you today with one unmistakable message about Operation Epic Fury. America is winning decisively.
You were listening to the U.S. Defense Secretary and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff speak from the Pentagon as a conflict with Iran ends.
March 8, 2026, Sunday, 2:35 a.m. local time. Persian Gulf, 43 nautical miles southwest of Bandar Abbas. Breaking news from the Gulf tonight. Iranian Revolutionary Guard forces have directly struck a United States Navy aircraft carrier. Pentagon sources confirm the attack landed. Casualties reported. And the American response has already been executed in full. Defense officials are describing the destruction on the Iranian side as the most comprehensive naval annihilation in the region's modern history. Persian Gulf. Not the strait. Not the coastline. The open water. 55 nautical miles at its widest, shallow enough in places that sonar performance degrades, warm enough year-round that heat shimmer distorts the horizon from a mile away. The morning watch rotation has just completed. The coffee is fresh. The flight deck crew is briefing the first launch cycle of the day. And through the heat haze on the northern horizon, something is moving fast. Very fast. And it shouldn't be. The USS Abraham Lincoln. CVN 72. A Nimitz-class nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. 1,092 feet of American strategic power operating in the Persian Gulf under routine deployment orders. She carries 90 aircraft, 5,000 sailors and airmen, and enough precision munitions aboard to reshape the operational environment of any theater she enters. Her strike group includes 2 guided missile cruisers, 3 destroyers, 2 attack submarines operating submerged at undisclosed positions, and a logistics ship trailing 40 miles astern. If you want the full picture of what happens when Iran miscalculates against a carrier strike group, hit like right now so this reaches people who need to understand what's actually at stake in the Persian Gulf. The Abraham Lincoln's air wing alone represents more offensive air power than the entire Iranian Air Force can put in the sky. Her carrier Air Wing 7 includes F divided by -18E and F Super Hornets, EA, 18G Growler electronic warfare aircraft, E-2D Hawkeye airborne radar planes, and MH-60 helicopter squadrons covering anti-submarine and surface warfare roles. She is, by any rational military analysis, the most powerful single conventional weapons platform in human history. In 11 minutes, Iranian forces are going to hit her anyway. With ballistic missiles. Designed specifically to kill aircraft carriers. And they're going to get through. Here's what nobody in the Iranian command structure understood about that decision. The moment any hostile weapon successfully struck an American carrier, a response package that had been built over 3 years, approved at the highest levels, and preloaded into the fire control systems of every American platform within range, was going to execute automatically. Not after a phone call to Washington. Not after an emergency NSC session. Automatically. Because the Secretary of Defense had already signed the authorization. The President had already reviewed the target list. The platforms were already in position. All of this happened before Iranian commanders ever gave their launch order. The attack comes from a direction nobody expected at the speed nobody modeled for. 3 Khalij Fars anti-ship ballistic missiles, Iranian domestically produced, GPS and radar guided, designed specifically to hit moving carrier decks. Launched from mobile launchers operating from the Iranian coastline north of Bandar Abbas. Each carrying a 650-kilogram warhead. Terminal velocity, Mach 3. Time of flight to target, 9 minutes and 40 seconds. Comment carrier if you think Iran just made the single worst military decision in Persian Gulf history. The carrier strike group's air defense network detects the launches immediately. E-2D Hawkeye radar aircraft pick up the ballistic signatures inside 30 seconds of launch. The Aegis cruiser USS Bunker Hill begins tracking all 3 inbounds simultaneously. SM-3 intercept missiles launch in rapid succession. 2 missiles against each inbound. 6 SM-3 interceptors airborne within 90 seconds. The math looks favorable. The outcome is not. The first 2 inbounds are intercepted. Clean kills. High-altitude detonations visible from the carrier's deck as brief orange flashes 60,000 feet up. The strike group watches and cheers. 2 down. 1 remaining. The third Khalij Fars takes an SM-3 hit that damages but does not destroy it. The warhead separates from the guidance section. Guidance section tumbles. Warhead continues. Ballistic. Unpowered. Unguided. Still carrying 650 kilograms of high explosive at terminal velocity. Still aimed at the general location of the USS Abraham Lincoln. The warhead impacts the flight deck aft of the island structure. The detonation punches through 2 inches of armored steel and detonates in the hangar bay below, where 22 aircraft are stored, armed, fueled, and surrounded by aviation fuel lines that run through the structure like the circulatory system of the entire ship. The secondary explosions begin within seconds. You're on that flight deck right now. You're a 22-year-old aviation ordnance man from Georgia. You've been loading weapons on F divided by a -18s for 2 years. You know every inch of that hangar bay. You know exactly what's stored down there, exactly what happens when ordnance and fuel meet a 650-kilogram warhead at Mach 2. Your training takes over before your brain catches up. You grab the nearest fire suppression station. You do what carriers have drilled for since the USS Forrestal fire in 1967. You fight the fire. You save your shipmates. You do your job even when the world is on fire around you. 7 sailors are killed in the initial detonation. 26 wounded, 4 critically. 8 aircraft are destroyed in the hangar. The damage control team prevents the fire from reaching the forward weapons magazines. The Abraham Lincoln is hurt, but she is not sinking. Her nuclear propulsion plants are undamaged. Her communications are intact. Her commanding officer transmits the strike report to 5th Fleet with full detail. Hostile weapons. Iranian origin. Successful penetration of carrier defenses. 7 Kia. Share this video right now because what comes next in those 9 minutes changes Persian Gulf history forever. The strike report reaches 5th Fleet headquarters. Time-stamped. Cross-referenced against the pre-authorized response package. Confirmed, American carrier struck by Iranian ballistic weapons. Confirmed, American casualties. Confirmed, Iranian military launch platforms identified. The authorization triggers without further deliberation. 9 minutes from authorization to first impact. Not because response forces moved fast. Because they were already aimed, already targeted, already waiting for exactly this confirmation. Response platforms receive simultaneous execution orders. USS Bunker Hill and USS Mobile Bay, the 2 cruisers in the strike group, each carrying 122 Tomahawk crews. Missiles. USS Bainbridge and USS Winston Churchill, destroyers positioned on the northern arc of the strike group. 2 Los Angeles-class attack submarines operating at undisclosed positions in the Gulf. A pair of B-52 Stratofortress bombers that had been holding on a refueling pattern 500 miles south with full combat loads. And the Abraham Lincoln's own air wing, despite her damage, launches her ready aircraft in less than 4 minutes. The weapons leave their platforms in a rolling sequence designed to create simultaneous impact across all target points. 40 Tomahawks from the cruisers. 20 from the destroyers. 32 from the submarines. The B-52s each release 20 AGM, 158 Seal Razm anti-ship missiles and 8 GBU, 57 massive ordnance penetrator bunker busters. 8F divided by a -18s from Lincoln herself carry JSSMER cruise missiles. Total strike package. More than 140 precision weapons against a target set covering every Iranian military installation and missile battery within range of the Persian Gulf. If the scale of that response is making your jaw drop, comment unstoppable right now. Let's talk about what every one of those weapons is hitting. Because this isn't punishment for the sake of punishment. It's surgical elimination of capability. The mobile launcher batteries that fired the Khalij Fars missiles are already moving, attempting to disperse along pre-plotted escape routes. But those routes were identified 3 weeks ago. The Tomahawks were targeted against those escape corridors before the launchers ever fired. 12 weapons are chasing 9 mobile launchers across the Iranian coastline. 7 launchers are destroyed before they travel 2 kilometers. Bandar Abbas Naval Base. The primary Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy facility on the Persian Gulf coast. The facility that houses the fast attack boats, the logistics for anti-ship missile operations, the maintenance infrastructure for everything Iran operates in the Gulf. 22 Tomahawks arrive in ripple-fire sequence. The piers, 4 direct hits. Fast attack craft in berth, fully fueled, secondary explosions cascade down the pier line. The weapons storage complex, bunker-penetrating variants drive through the hardened roof and detonate inside the magazine. What detonates from inside is louder than what hit from outside. Bandar Jask. Iran's new naval base east of the strait. Built specifically to extend Iranian missile coverage across the entrance to the Persian Gulf. The base command headquarters. The missile battery emplacements. The radar arrays that provide targeting data to the entire Iranian naval missile network. 18 weapons. The command headquarters receives 4. It ceases to exist as a functioning structure in 1.3 seconds. The radar arrays take 2 weapons each and collapse into debris that provides no intelligence value to anyone ever again. The Shahid Bey Honar Naval Base near Bandar Abbas. 14 Tomahawks against the maintenance complex, the operations building, the pier facilities, and the fuel storage that supplies the entire southern Gulf operational fleet. The fuel fires from the storage tanks are visible from 60 miles away. They burn for 31 hours. Kharg Island, Iran's primary oil export terminal in the northern Gulf. American weapons do not hit the oil infrastructure. They hit the integrated air defense battery that was positioned there specifically to protect against exactly this kind of response. 3 SM, 2 launcher complexes, 2 radar installations. The communications relay tower that coordinates Iranian air defense coverage across the northern Gulf. All targeted, all destroyed. Not the oil terminal. Not civilian infrastructure. The military capability protecting it. Comment 9 if you now understand exactly why the response timeline is the most important number in this story. And here's the detail that defines the totality of what just happened. The F divided by a -18s from Abraham Lincoln, flying off a damaged carrier deck with fire still burning in the hangar below, contribute to the strike against the ballistic missile storage facility at Imam Ali Base, 60 miles inland from the coast. The facility that stores the Khalij Fars missiles. The ones Iran hasn't fired yet. The ones they were saving. 8 JSSMER missiles hit the hardened storage bunkers. The secondary explosions from stored missile propellant are detected by seismographs in 3 neighboring countries. Total strike duration from first Tomahawk launch to last Razam impact, 8 minutes 53 seconds. 9 minutes of execution against an authorization that was signed 3 years ago. The Iranian ballistic missile capability in the Persian Gulf region drops from 72 operational Khalij Fars missiles to an estimated 14, all in storage facilities that are now structurally compromised or on fire. The mobile launcher fleet is reduced from 43 units to 19. The naval fast attack capability that supported the operation is destroyed at pier. Now let's talk about the exchange that actually happened. Iran traded 3 ballistic missiles, partial penetration of carrier defenses, 7 American sailors killed, 26 wounded, and a temporarily damaged flight deck. For what they received in return, the near-total elimination of their ballistic anti-ship missile capability, destruction of their primary naval bases in the southern Gulf, loss of their integrated air defense coverage north of the strait, and an estimated 340 Revolutionary Guard personnel killed in the strike. The Abraham Lincoln is under repair within 72 hours. Her flight deck is operational again in 11 days. Her air wing continues operations without interruption from the undamaged forward deck sections. She does not leave the Persian Gulf. She stays visible, operating. A deliberate signal that the damage was absorbed, the response was executed, and American presence in the region is not contingent on Iranian restraint. On the Iranian side, the diplomatic response follows the script that anyone who has studied Iranian information operations recognizes immediately. Claims of defending national sovereignty. Claims of American aggression. Claims that the carrier was operating in Iranian territorial waters. The claims are issued while satellite imagery of burning naval bases is already circulating in intelligence channels, while Gulf states are privately communicating to Washington that they observed everything and support the response entirely. The United States releases the full evidentiary package within 6 hours. GPS tracking of the Abraham Lincoln proving her position in international waters at time of attack. Radar data from the E-2D showing the missile launches originating from Iranian territory. Radio intercepts from Iranian command frequencies in the minutes before launch. Video footage from the strike group's cameras showing the missile impacts. The evidence package goes to the UN Security Council, to European allies, to every regional partner. The international response is not the one Iran planned for. Within 48 hours, 3 Gulf states expand basing agreements with the US Navy. 2 nations increase intelligence sharing on Iranian missile programs. The United Kingdom and France issue joint statements explicitly supporting the American response as proportionate and legally justified under international law. The countries that share the Persian Gulf with Iran send a clear signal to Tehran. Iranian escalation against American carriers produces responses they do not want and diplomatic alignments they cannot afford. But here is the strategic consequence that matters most. The decision that changes Iranian military planning permanently. Before this morning, Iranian doctrine treated American carrier strike groups as vulnerable to saturation attacks. The calculation was that enough missiles, launched fast enough from multiple vectors, could overwhelm carrier defenses, land some hits, create enough damage and political cost to constrain American freedom of operation in the Persian Gulf. After this morning, that doctrine is dead. Not because the attack failed. It partially succeeded. It killed 7 Americans and damaged the most powerful naval platform in the world. But the consequence of that partial success was total destruction of the capability that made the attack possible. Iranian military planners now face a fundamental question they cannot answer satisfactorily. If a partial success triggers this response, what does a larger attack trigger? And the answer they're calculating produces a number that makes any Iranian attack against American carriers strategically irrational. The innovation, once again, is doctrinal, not technological. Pre-delegated authority, pre-loaded strike packages, pre-positioned platforms, pre-targeted escape routes. The entire framework designed to close the gap between an adversary's action and America's overwhelming response to zero. Not to respond faster. To have already responded, in every sense except the final execution, before the adversary's weapons even leave their launchers. Every Iranian commander who plans operations in the Persian Gulf now works inside a framework they cannot change. Attack an American warship, any American warship, and every military asset supporting that attack burns. Not after Washington deliberates. Not after allies are consulted. After 9 minutes. Because the authorization was already signed. The weapons were already aimed. The targets were already selected. The platforms were already in position. The USS Abraham Lincoln returns to full flight operations 14 days after the attack. The 7 sailors killed receive full military honors at a ceremony attended by the Secretary of the Navy and the Chief of Naval Operations. Their names are added to the memorial. Their families receive the gratitude of a nation and the benefits they earned through their service. The 26 wounded receive treatment aboard USNS Mercy. Most return to duty. All of them remember Tuesday, 0614 hours, Persian Gulf. Iranian Revolutionary Guard naval forces spend the next 2 years rebuilding. New mobile launchers acquired. New missile stocks procured from domestic production. New facilities constructed to replace the ones that burned. But the targeting doctrine never returns. The harassment operations in the Persian Gulf stop. The aggressive intercepts end. The threatening passes against American ships cease. Not because Iran lacks the capability to replace what was destroyed. Because every commander who survived now understands exactly what that capability buys them when they use it. 9 minutes. That's what it costs to attack an American carrier. 9 minutes until everything that supported the attack, everything that would support the next attack, everything that makes the attack capability exist, is burning. Ask yourself this. If you were an Iranian Revolutionary Guard admiral sitting in Bandar Abbas right now, watching your naval base burn on satellite imagery, knowing that 9 minutes was all the time you had between Iran's decision and America's response, would you have given that launch order? Drop your answer in the comments. Was America's response justified, or did they go too far? And if you want to see every scenario where Iranian military planning meets the reality of American pre-authorized response doctrine, subscribe right now. Because we break down the strategies, the technologies, and the decisions that decide who wins before the first shot is even fired. Hit subscribe. This channel shows you how 21st century warfare actually works, 9 minutes at a time.